Coming to you from the heart of the Great White North. Welcome to the Canadian Prepper Podcast. Immerse yourself in the world of preparedness with insights from seasoned experts and a touch of Canadian practicality. Your go-to source for all things survival, resilience, and self-reliance. Now, let's kick off another episode packed with knowledge and strategies to ensure you're ready for whatever life may throw your way. Stay tuned and let the journey to preparedness begin.
Welcome to episode number 271 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We are recording October the 19th, 2025. My name is Eric, host of the show, based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator. Something about ham sandwiches was mixed in here as well. And of course, computer geek, first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events, started a small preparedness company to help people get better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
My name is Pierre. I'm a tactical beard owner, based t-shirt merchant, and laser engraver sometimes. Government critique, the reason we hit the explicit button, and I am potentially not wearing pants.
You're supposed to wear pants for these things?
I'm just saying I'm potentially not.
Well, all right then.
Cool. Chris Gilmore here. I'm the guest on tonight, not a regular member of the crew, although I've been on a few times in the past. And I do a whole bunch of stuff. I'm a modern day homesteader, so I love growing food. My background's really in the wilderness, like wilderness travel. So I worked as a guide for almost 20 years, and then also went on to teach like wilderness survival and tracking and all that kind of stuff. I'm also a hunter, fisher, forager, and I have a professional background in emergency and disaster management as well. So I've done work at different levels of government and industry, as well as in the private sector with emergency disaster management. And I like bridging all of those things together in the teaching that I do with Chris Outdoors. So that's my business, chrisoutdoors.ca.
Welcome back, Chris.
Yeah. Glad to be here. We always have fun.
Oh, yes. Always.
Oh, hold on. That's on me.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit.
We're a little rusty. We're a little rusty. We haven't been on in a while.
So a reason you may want to support the show so that we don't keep fucking up like this. Buy some swag. We both have the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and the tactical Velcro patch available at www.prepperpodcast.ca. All the proceeds help cover the cost of the podcast.
If you join the show, please take a few minutes and submit a review wherever you found us and you do listen to us. Your feedback will help us out with the algorithms, and we want it whether it's good or bad. We also invite you to reach out and tell us about something you've learned this week. You can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. And we've got some Matrix style content for you in this episode. We'll start out with what we've done recently for our personal preps. We're going to get into the main topic where Chris is joining us again this evening.
Deep into the Matrix.
Way into the Matrix. Red pill or blue pill? Clearly the red pill.
Is there really a choice?
No, there's not.
You always follow the white rabbit.
All right, let's start out with you, Pierre, for what we've done lately for preps.
So getting ready for Big Mag winter coming.
Mm-hmm.
Woken up a few mornings and, my usual routine of letting the dogs out in my underwear. Caught me off guard. So I'm like, snow's coming. Check the snow blower, make sure it still starts, hopefully prior to the snow compared to a few seasons ago. Start looking at outside. Okay, what do we need to put away for winter? Get everything ready. I don't want this covered in snow and everything. Hopefully, fingers crossed, get the shed a little bit better organized, but at least get everything in there. Fuel rotation as per usual, food rotation, get rid of this, buy new of this. Did some scope swap arounds on 2 of my rifles. So looking forward to getting those officially zeroed in, not just bore sighted and everything, but the eye relief seems nice. As best as I can do from my house to, few houses down without the neighbors calling saying there's a guy shooting something. But eye relief looked good, zoom looked good and everything. So they're all torqued down the spec and everything.
Nice.
Looking forward to getting rounds on paper, hopefully in the near future. I've got a few leads on getting some stuff done, but just need to find time compared to everything else. So fingers crossed that'll happen.
Time is a thing, which we have not had for the last little while, especially on Sundays. But For myself, it's been pretty busy since our last episode. Been all over the globe, all kinds of different time zones. So I've been able to implement at least some checking out hotels and different ways of getting out of those hotels and all those typical things I do when I travel. So that's been interesting, but it's been in different areas. So things are laid out a little differently. Plans have to be a little bit different. Language is a thing because not everybody speaks English. It's been an interesting time traveling, but glad to be back. Was able to get the boat put away because Old Man Winter is quickly showing up, so it's all winterized and tucked away. The typical fuel rotation for this time of year, switching stuff around, getting rid of the old stock that I've had over the summer and topping stuff up for the wintertime. And of course, the good old yard cleanup, because that's a thing that has to happen. So lots of getting ready for Old Man Winter because he is going to be here before we know it. So,
and I think he's going to be a fucking dickwad this year.
Yeah, he is every year.
Yeah, this year seems like it's not going to be that great. So we'll see.
I don't know. He's pretty bad last year. I don't know if he's going to bring more ice storms, but if he does, we're ready.
He was really bad for you guys. He was really good for us. You guys got way more storms than we did. Like, you guys are sending messages and everything, and I'm like, I don't know, it's sunny and like -10 here.
Yeah,
like
I'm out here in my underwear. I'm not wearing pants. Yeah.
Yeah, but so we'll see. I mean, as long as it still stays your way, I'm happy with it.
Fair enough. Chris, you got anything for this section?
Yeah, I've been busy the last little bit too. And since I was on here, which actually wasn't that long ago, last time I was on here as a guest. Just a cool little note on your piece there. You know, I always find I travel a lot for work as well too. Yep. I was actually staying in a hotel this weekend. I was teaching all weekend long, teaching a hunting course. Nice. But I actually always find that a great opportunity for pushing situational awareness when I'm on the road. You know, when you go into this new environment, you don't really know, and it's a great opportunity to take all those frameworks that we sometimes can be complacent with in our comfortable environment. You know, when you get in the hotel and you're like suddenly paying attention to everybody, and you're thinking about the entrances and the exits and all those different things. So I actually look at traveling as like a training opportunity, you know?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, as do I. Yeah. Anytime I'm in a hotel, I always try to map out the hotel, my entry points, my exit points, who's where, who should be here, who should be there. And then you throw in the international part of it where you're outside of your normal, you know, area and comfort, because like I said, language isn't a thing. It's different languages. It's different people, different customs, and it's
the
just
same as everybody that's there.
The same as everybody else. You stand out, so it's just a whole different world. Because Sam, I travel quite a bit within Ontario for work, but doing the travel thing internationally just amps that up even more. Yeah. So, but absolutely, it's I agree 100%, Chris. It's definitely a training opportunity and a great opportunity to sharpen some skills.
Awesome. Yeah. So other things I've been up to. So being a homesteader, you know, we're getting ready to plant our garlic. Basically, all the root veggies are in. Everything's kind of in the root cellar, and we just got the bed prepped. So we got to plant garlic before the ground freezes up. That's a big one. Pierre, I've also been getting sighted in. I got my rifle sighted in the other day. Getting ready for deer season. I'm actually hunting deer bow. I'm going to start my bow season this week, but I got my rifle sighted in. If I haven't filled my tag by the time gun season comes around, and we're shooting some clays. I killed my first goose the other day, so I'm into my hunting season. But it was good to just get out and fire a couple of clays before getting out in the blind for geese. So a big part of my prep this time of year is actually putting food in the freezer, you know, through hunting and then through the garden. And then beyond that, a couple other things that are kind of on my mind. I've been thinking a little bit about home security, you know, just with you know, if I was to think about, you know, what are my top concerns for threats right now, I got some real concerns about where the economy is going over the next couple of years. And, you know, a direct ripple effect of the economy is potentially rising local crime, right? So I've been thinking a little bit more about home security, you know, like doubling down on kind of like locks and security systems. And
how much buckshot do you own?
We're in Canada, remember?
I'm just saying, you never know when hunting season is going to be really good. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. But I'm just saying, that is also one of my go-tos.
So anyways, been working on some of those things. And then, you know, actually in relation to the economy, something that my wife and I have been doing, because we're both self-employed, we both run our own businesses. You know, and a long, prolonged downturn in the economy, you know, could impact our businesses. Honestly, you know, I feel like a lot of people's jobs could be impacted by a bad economy. And I feel like a lot of people don't actually think forward into the future to be like, hey, if we actually hit like a multi-year, like Great Recession like thing, how would my job actually be impacted? Do I actually have a plan? Have I thought about that ahead of time about how I would actually adapt with my income sources? So I've actually been, usually I don't really start thinking about 2026 until it's like January, like I'm kind of into the year
Right.
and then I start mapping. But I've been actually setting up more like emergency consulting contracts with organizations that I know have fixed budgets and will continue to have money even in a poorer economy. So I've actually financially been thinking ahead about like setting up contracts now. So if things take a nosedive, if the stock market crashes and people start getting laid off, I know that I've already lined up some income streams to at least keep things going. And people don't always think about that when preparedness, but I think it's actually a real big one. It's pretty real, right? So
yeah, and
100%.
and even like you went way above and beyond of what anybody will think, right? Like someone that works at like a local grocery store, and they'll be like, well, what are they going to do for groceries? Right. And it's like, well, if you can't afford to pay the bills, like you're not going to have groceries. Like your local grocery store can shut down just as way easier than anything else. Right. Like, so you've secured contracts, this, that. So the likelihood of those contracts disappearing, very, very slim, not impossible, like
no.
next to zero in comparison to someone working at Foot Locker, Dollarama, this, that, right? Like not paying attention to whatever. Yeah, you'd be, hey, what's government's out there? I mean, if I got to pay taxes, I might as well, pay for someone to get some kind of schooling that could get them in something better than, bagging groceries if that doesn't come out.
Or even thinking ahead to like, what skill sets do I have that like I can turn into some cash even, during a downturn?
I mean,
put it out to,
If you're really good at drawing, someone will want a painting at some point. Like, figure out what you can make cash with, or an income stream of some sort.
Yeah.
Whether it's art, gardening, I don't know, clipping nails on dogs. I have two dogs. That's the thing. And I fucking hate I don't even cut them. My wife cuts them. And I'm like, I sit there and I hold the piece of ham so the dog doesn't freak out. Right? But if someone can do it way better than I can for a reasonable price, come on down.
Well, for people listening, a good question you could ask, and that's what I did it for my business and my skill set. But I thought, in a downturn in the economy, what types of clients that I have a skill set that I can serve are still going to have money? And then it's like, what service could I offer them? So, I work in emergency management. So I'm thinking about organizations that I know aren't going to crash and are going to still have a budget. And I'm lining that up now. But if I work at Foot Locker, I could just be like, okay, well, in my community where I live, like who has money here? And they're going to still have money, even if things crash. What skill, what are they going to want during that period? What can I do to get some of that money? Right.
Oh, great points. And a good opportunity to maybe segue into our main topic for this evening.
Yeah, sweet.
Let Chris take it away.
Kick it off, or?
Yeah, how about you kick it off, and we'll do this conversational style. So live chat, feel free to jump in with questions or jump into the conversation as we go. I'll get your posts up and in front of everybody.
Awesome.
And away we go.
Cool. So I got a bit of a fun idea that I pitched to Eric for tonight, or at least I think it's fun. Hopefully you guys will still too.
I think so. That's why I said yeah.
It's pretty nerdy. I'll warn you ahead of time. So I've been working in this stuff for like 2 decades now, and I'm a nerd. That's why I'm hanging out with Eric, and here tonight, and I love all of it. I've been working in doing martial arts on and off since I was a kid. I'm into hunting, I'm into foraging, I'm into fishing. I'm on a homestead. I grow food. I have a professional background in emergency management. I'm into shooting. Like I love all of this stuff. But something I've been kind of realizing, through 20 years literally of doing this is there's kind of these different domains, and people seem to get really attracted to one domain or another, like you're the person that like really likes to grow food and have the homestead, and then people will just go like all in on the homestead, or like you're the tactical guy, and you go all in on tactical shooting and your tactical preps, or you're like the survival primitive guy and you're like all in on like bow drills and debris huts or whatever. Right. And every single one of those skill sets has a strength, but also has a weakness. And something I'm kind of always a nerd about is like, how do we be the most resilient, adaptable people in a world where we really don't actually know what's around the next corner? We all got our theories as to where things going, but none of us actually know, right? And I'll give you a great example of that. Like I bought this generator a couple of years ago, and it has a digital component to it. It's like one of those champion like tri-fuel generators, and I love it. And I was literally talking about it, and this guy like went off on me about like, oh, what a dummy you are. Like that thing's going to be dead and when there's an EMP. Meanwhile, like, sure, if an EMP dies, it's going to kill that generator, but it's actually saved the food in my freezer multiple times now and saved me enough money to have already paid for itself. So that generator is not a waste of money at all. It's actually been one of the most useful preps I've had. It's powered my home many, many times because the EMP hasn't happened, right? what I need to do though is actually acknowledge, okay, there's a weakness in it. But so many people get fixated on like this one scenario, or they're all in on like, I'll give you a quick example from each of those quadrants to kind of lay out this framework. And then I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. So let's say I'm the homesteader. I'm all into like growing food and solar panels, blah, blah, blah. And I'm living off the grid and all of these things. And it's like, sweet, I'm ready for the apocalypse or the recession or whatever. Wildfire comes through, burns it all down. It's gone, right? Or like social unrest comes, it's too dangerous to stay. Suddenly I put all my chips in this basket and it's gone overnight, right?
Yeah.
Tactical person, they're all into all the different skill sets. They got their gear, they're training, they're shooting, yada, yada, yada. I don't know if you guys watch Alone. It's one of the only survival shows I actually like because it's actually demonstrating real skills. Most of the other ones are garbage, in my opinion. They're just drama. Like Alone is actually real guys, real skills, real guys and gals.
Naked and Afraid is bullshit.
Yeah, they're all bullshit.
and they blur it all out. It's misleading.
Yeah, what a waste. That would have been the best part of the show. So anyway, sorry, I'm digressing here. But like tactical skill set, absolutely. I mean, all those skills are great, but on Alone, there's all kinds of guys that come on that show that have all these tactical skills and survival skills. They almost never win. The people that win are actually almost always the nature connection, primitive, relationship to the land kind of people. And they have skills as well, but they've got way better attitudes and they really know ecology, right? And they know how to track and they know all these ancient ways that actually go beyond the tactical stuff, right?
So,
but
so you get the crazy, what is it? What's the fucking word? Skill of all trades, but master of none. Are the people that tend to win compared to the people that know anything and everything about like two subjects. Just the people that have dabbled in everything and have some experience
and have a good mindset.
Enough. Yeah,
that's one of the actually most important ones is the mindset.
And humble enough to be
humble.
I wasted a day doing this.
Yeah.
But now that I look at it, that was a bad idea. I can't take that day back. But the people that double down on shitty ideas are always the ones that go out first, right? Like being humble, being open, and the people that are willing to just, hey, I'm not the best, but I've got enough in everything that I'm willing to partake in all of it. And at the end of it, they may come out way better, or they may be more confused of everything, just because they were like, I didn't get to master any of it. All of it worked, but I was so calorie deprived. I was cold. I was hungry the whole time that I didn't learn anything extra. But those tend to be the people that capitalize way more than the one guy that can build a shelter in 2 days. I'm like, but if you can't find food, it's completely useless.
Yeah. So these guys with this really well-rounded skill set in the outdoors and nature. And it's usually, honestly, the people that wake up every morning, they're like, oh man, what a beautiful day today. Because people that are really tactical and skilled, but they're just like, oh, this sucks. I'm wet and I'm cold. That weighs on you and you start to fall apart, right? But here's the thing, the guys that are really good at the traditional survival stuff, in an actual disaster scenario, you got an earthquake, I'm not pulling out my bow drill, I'm pulling out my freaking lader, right? There's a weakness to that the tactical sits. So both of them have strengths, they both have weaknesses, right? And then so I'm basically, what I'm doing here is creating these 4 quadrants. So I've labeled this the survival resilience matrix. And I've actually created a whole course that I'm running online right now that's based on this matrix. And this is the idea I want to start jamming on you guys with, because this is a work in progress, although I've been working on it for a couple of years now. And I think it's pretty cool. I don't really know anyone else that's quite approaching it. So if you imagine, I'm going to lay out the compass for you and then get your thoughts. And then maybe we can dive into some of the nitty gritty of it. But if you imagine the compass up on the north there, you've got kind of more of that homesteading, growing food, sustainable natural building, energy efficient home, quadrant, right? That's making the actual sustainable, natural, resilient homestead. And if you go down to the east, you've got your tactical skills, which is what we often think about in the prepper world, right? Your tactical shooting, your bug out bags, your comm systems, whatever. You go down to the south, the bottom of the compass, that's your actually more modern emergency management stuff, which is actually more the frameworks and stuff that we have, things doing a hazard assessment or I don't know, there's all kinds of things, the disaster planning cycle, all these great tools that modern emergency response has. And then when you go over to the east quadrant, that's more your traditional knowledge. That's the stuff of the naturalist that knows their plants and knows how to read the weather and knows how to track, so those are kind of the 4 quadrants that I've kind of created.
That last one is west, not east. You said east.
Oh, did I mix them up?
Well, no, you said northeast, southeast.
Oh, northeast, southwest. Sorry.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Don't worry
That
about
last
west.
one
It
is
doesn't
west.
matter.
I warned you,
that
I've
doesn't
been
matter.
teaching all weekend. I'm half brain dead. So if this is incoherent, I'm going to blame it on the fact that I've been teaching for 2 days. But basically, here's the kind of hypothesis that I'm working with this is that, so you're not going to be a master in all of those things. You know, it's not practical. And generally, most people are going to be drawn to one or the other. But I am creating the hypothesis. If you actually want to be like a badass human, like, and be the most resilient and adaptable to like whatever life throws at us, which I think just makes sense. And honestly, I think for most of human history, that's what humans were. And in a very short period of time, we're not that anymore. That's my opinion there.
Most of society is turned into.
Yeah.
It's a whole other podcast.
Yeah. So my hypothesis is that, you know, all people should have like at least some basic knowledge of all 4 of those areas and some basic skills of them. And then within your community or your crew, your family, whatever, you want to have specialists in each of those. And that if you do that, you've actually got a really well-rounded skill set as an individual and as a community to weather whatever unpredictable thing life throws at you, you know? So that's kind of my whole hypothesis for the survival resilience matrix. And I've created this whole course and training model around it. And then there's another layer I want to add to it because we basically now overlay that over these different kind of skill sets. So I want to share that. But before I go there, I'd like to get your thoughts on just the model in general, the advantages, maybe any holes you see in it.
I would swap south and north.
Oh, just for the directions? Why?
Yeah. Why? So building your homestead obviously is almost any prepper's dream. May not be feasible.
Yeah.
But the reason I would say, so you always want to go north. Your south was what's your management, what's your bug out bag, your plans for this, plans for that. You don't have a homestead. You're north. For you specifically, your homestead is that, right? And then you've got other criterias for
that's cool. Thoughts?
Disaster management, this, that. I don't have a homestead here, right?
Yep.
Like if I get chickens, I better hope my neighbors don't rat me out. That's where I live, right? Ideally, that's not exactly where I want to be. So I would switch north and south and say, risk assessment, what can you get away with? What can you plan for? Way better. And then your bug out bags, communications, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And then if your house can't be your bug out location of getting everything ready, your south has now become, okay, where can I store something?
Cool.
Right? Keep rodents away, keep this, keep that, even if it's freeze-dried food, whatever, right? It's not a bunch of chickens that you got to go feed every fucking morning 6 hours from your house. The only reason I would switch those two is you specifically have a homestead. I don't.
And the majority of people don't, right? If we're being practical about it, right?
Yeah, if we're being practical, right? You are there. I'm not there yet. So I would swap those two just to get, how can you, right?
Because then it becomes a bit of a pathway towards working towards it, right?
Exactly. So, okay, this is how you need to think. This is how you prep for it. If you're prepped and you already have this, work on that. And then your last one. Yeah, that's the only thing I would do. Switch north and south.
I love it. You know, and that's kind of what, when in creating this, like what I wanted to do was create a model where people could almost do like an inventory of like, where am I at? And like, be like, oh, well, I'm already strong here. Maybe I should put a bit of time in over here or here. But I like the idea of almost like north, east, south, west being like the steps or order of thinking about them.
Right. So your true north, you always want to make sure true north. What's your true north? Family's safe. Dogs are safe. My house is safe. I have somewhere to be if something happens, this, that, right? You always want to concentrate on that, right? And I'm assuming you probably took this from your point of view. Well, I want to make sure my homestead's good. I've got chickens. I've got a garden. I've got this. That's not the option for way more preppers than we want to admit, right? I wish I was better prepared. I literally do a podcast on Saturday nights about being prepared. And if a prepper showed up at my house, they'd be like, why are you on the show? You're retarded. Like 100%. Like I am not denying that, right? Like it's a work in progress. I have fantastic ideas. I'm not the greatest at implementing some of them. Some of them take funds I don't have, right? Like it's all up for it. Like you can listen to me and I'm like, if I had unlimited money, okay, fine, we can have a discussion. But I was like, I'm on a budget. What can I do best for me? Yeah. So that's the only reason I would say swap the two.
No, I love it, Pierre. I think that's really interesting. You know, I'll just add one, and then I'd like to get your thoughts on this too, Eric. But the other thing I just lost my here. Why don't you go? I just totally lost my thought.
I'll run with it. We got Chris in the live chat here mentioning as well. You need to prep your neighbors in their mindset so they accept what you're doing.
No,
suppose it's not always easy to do.
No, I would keep neighbors away as much as possible
on
in
the
my
neighbors.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all
So if
depends.
they're already in the same mindset and you can see they're doing whatever, but I don't want to convince my neighbor, hey, I'm doing this in case something happens, and they don't agree with it, but at least they're not ratting me out, because now I have
Then when
someone that's
something
going to knock
happens,
on my door, and I'm going to feel really bad,
saying,
kicking
"Go away."
fucking Aunt Janet out because she's like, I'm hungry, can I have some rice? And I'm like, I fucking told you 6 months ago rice was on sale, you should buy more, right? Like, so if they don't already come off as that mindset, like, fine, getting chickens,
It's a fine line.
there's a really fine line, and I don't think that's a first meeting conversation with someone. That's a few fires, a few suppers, and
and that's actually going to build into the next layer of the model we're going to get into too. So
and honestly, going to their house
like
and fucking snooping. Right? Like, I'm not gonna say, hey, how many cans of food do you have? But I'm just gonna be like, go over and hope they ask me to grab something from the pantry for them, and I can kind of open it up. And I'm like, they got like a day of food, and they go to the grocery store every day.
So Chris is kind of pointing us in the direction of what he's actually thinking. He said, we've misinterpreted what he meant. They need to leave. Learn to leave you alone. So
so
we're in agreement.
Really easy solution for that. Once a week, vacuum your driveway in your underwear. Problem solved.
All right, let's cycle back to Chris's Matrix. So when we're not vacuuming the driveway in our underwear, that is. So
yes.
I like the idea of it. I think you're 100% bang on with everybody focuses on one area of preparedness that they get drawn to, and everybody gets into the preparedness world because there's that one section that they are like, this is a concern for me, I need to fill this concern, and then they kind of from there spider off a little bit into the other quadrants that you talk about. But you're 100% right, they don't really get skilled in those other areas, they just kind of dabble in them. And I'm guilty of that 100% with communications, right? Like
look at your backyard.
I've dove hard. Look at my antennas, right? I've dove hard into that section of the preparedness world, right? And bit hard into it and ran with it pretty extensively. But there's other areas where I would trip and fall very quickly. So your Matrix idea of kind of laying that all out in front of somebody and saying, here's all the areas. This is the area you're good in right now in this quadrant. But if you look at this quadrant and this quadrant, it just kind of puts it all out in front of you and makes it easier to digest, I think, because it makes you think about, okay, I'm good here. I kind of know this. I have no idea about the east and west, but north and south, I'm good. Or west and east, I'm pretty solid there, but south and north, I've not touched at all. So it kind of helps visualize it and kind of get you thinking about the other areas and kind of breaking that focus on the area that you're comfortable in, because that's what happens, right? We get into it, we get very comfortable with the subject, we get into that little bubble, and that's our comfort zone, and all humans don't want to get out of that, right? It's comfortable, it's known, it's a good area, so why get out of your comfort zone? I think this kind of paints the picture to show you why you should and where to go.
Yeah, and it'd be nice if you can figure out, now this goes way above my intellectual thing, but just like a questionnaire that would put someone, if they're more west south or west north or whatever, and then take everything and then come back 4 or 5 months later after doing regular work or whatever, and see if they can get to that middle point where they're kind of comfortable in everything. Right? Right. Like we've all done those tests, are you a visual learner, an aptitude? Right. Are you a compassionate? We've all done those tests at some point in our life, right? Yeah. If you can figure out how to make a 40 question questionnaire that would put them in one of those 4 quadrants, and then show in general, right, this is what you want to work on, and they take it seriously, right? And then 6 months later come back and reassess those questions without answering, hoping to get whatever, but answer truthfully, right? So you're relying a lot on people being honest and doing actual work. So that could be a problem. But like, if you could figure out a way and people be actually truthful, right? To find that like grid and be like, hey, are you moving? Okay, at least you've moved towards the direction of something else. Maybe it's not towards all four, but at least you've stayed where you are and where you are, but you've capitalized on something else, right? You're expanding your mindset or whatever.
Awesome.
So, like I said, you need to find someone way smarter than you. To figure
Interesting
that.
enough, I've actually been working on that already. And so
Right.
Roadmap to Resilience course that I've created. So it's an online course and I do it live, and we've actually it's set up to run over 4 months. So we just started this cohort last week in October. And that's kind of part of where we start at, is like getting everyone to figure out kind of where they are in those different quadrants. And then over the 4 month, my goal is for everybody to have just like the foundational knowledge in each one of them, develop some basic skills and take some basic steps in each of them. And then beyond that, it's like, okay, well, which one do I want to be an expert in? And then who in my community are the experts in the other area? And just mapping that ahead of time. So it's like, okay, I want these people that I'm going to work aside that hold the other ones, but we all have the foundation. So that's actually kind of the approach that I'm taking in this online course. We call it Roadmap to Resilience. It's meant to be like the roadmap. And I like what you said, Eric, because that's kind of like, I'm always thinking, because I'm a teacher by like trade, right? Like I teach workshops, survival, emergency preparedness, all this stuff. So I'm always thinking about like preparedness is such an overwhelming topic, as is just the state of the world right now. So I'm always trying to think, like, I'm a total nerd for like, how do you actually make this digestible for people so they don't just become overwhelmed and go into that limbic, like fight, flight, freeze response and actually take action. So this has been kind of like my work around, like, how do you actually inspire people to take action and do it in a way that's super well-rounded? So I'll feed you guys the next layer if you're ready to move on, and then we can jam on that for a little bit.
One more, just a quick comment in the live chat. I think Pete's Lost in the Woods has renamed things for you. The new name could be Homesteading Survivalist Bushcraft Tech Nerd.
Nice. I like it. It works.
You'll have to have a wind-up radio, though.
That's the Tech Nerd part. Yeah. All right, we're good to move to the next part.
So then what we do, so we have this survival matrix as a starting point, and it's just like, okay, where are you naturally drawn to? Where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses in this as an individual and within my community? Then I've basically taken these kind of 12 different categories, and I call them the 12 categories of resilience. And we apply that matrix to each one of these categories. So I'll go over the categories, and then maybe we could break down one or two of them together. And then you guys can jump in on like, what else would you add to this category or whatever, and thinking about developing it. So the categories I have is actually the foundation is actually like mindset and mental frameworks, because like if your mind falls apart, everything else does too. Like it doesn't matter how good you are at the tactical side or what's in your bug out bag if you crumble under stress, Even to give you a quick example of this one, like have I told you my crazy bear story about getting charged by the black bear? I can't remember if I've ever told this story to you or not.
I don't
Did
think
you touch
so.
it in the wrong place? Or different kind of charges.
Different kind of charges.
Okay, sorry.
Point on the doll where you touch the bear.
So I won't make this a long story, but like, so I've been hunting for, a long time, shot lots of animals before, yada, yada, yada. We have a bear that's basically stalking our homestead because it realizes that there's food inside of our chicken coop. And this bear is getting more and more aggressive. I do something really stupid like I always do. So actually it starts with like, the bear's coming around and I'm going off and I'm firing warning shots at it. And the first time I fire at it, it kind of runs off into the woods. 10 minutes later, it pops up somewhere else. I fire a couple more shots and it stops reacting less and less. Then I go out and it's literally walking down the path and it's like right at last light and I shoot at its feet and the ground literally explodes at its feet and it barely moves. And then I'm like, oh shit, this is getting real right now. Nope. I didn't really want to shoot this bear. So anyways, I'm not going to tell the whole story, but long story short is I go out, I go inside and now I'm talking with my wife. It's getting dark. And then we're like, okay, what are we going to do? Like, we got to keep this bear away because he's going to cause trouble. I'm also starting to think about the old lady that lives across the road. And like, what if he goes over to my neighbor's house and like, she doesn't have a gun. She's not going to go and do this. So here's the dumb part. So we go outside. My wife's got this big spotlight. She's on the porch. And of course I walk out like way off into the woods by myself in the pitch black with my shotgun. And sure enough, the bear is up this little hill and it charges me in the dark, like straight at me, like just comes at me. Like it was terrifying. And I start backing up and unloading rounds at this bear and I empty my 3 rounds in my shotgun. Yeah. It's like point blank, like right in front of me. I missed all 3 shots because I panicked, right? When your mind falls apart, like that's I've taken way further shots on deer and killed them, but I missed all 3 shots because my mind fell apart under the stress. Now, fortunately, because I think I fired the shots, the bear spooked and he basically like did the like charge and then literally turned 90 degrees, like right in front of me. I could have spit on him and then ran off. This happened in the dark. I'm fucking terrified. I run back to the house At this point, I actually have a
Change
smart
your
idea.
underwear.
Yeah, change my underwear.
Change your underwear.
And then I have a smart idea. You know what? Why don't I go up on the roof and try and shoot this bear from the roof with a spotlight, not just walk into the woods? I did end up having to shoot the bear because he kept circling and I shot him off the roof. Yeah. I think now that I've gone through that experience, I think at least that I would actually have the nerve, because I've got now that in my body, because what I needed to do is actually take a quick breath and actually freeze, lean forward and aim.
Yep.
And then it would have been one shot, right? No, I didn't have that life experience. I panicked. So anyways, all of this is just to go back to the mindset piece. Is like we need to train our mind and inoculate ourselves with stress so our bodies actually respond well under stress. If we don't, we're liable to, like, those skills or the gear might not actually save us, right? So anyways, the first kind of pillar or category is actually like the mindset piece and the framework piece. From there, we have situational awareness. That's category number 2, which is like threat prevention in the first place, right? Prevention and or at least puts me ahead of the curve. Number 3 is skill sets around shelter. So protecting ourselves from the elements, yada, yada, yada. So shelter could be home, or it could be like what I'm staying in out in the woods. Number 4 is skill sets around water. Number 5 is skill sets around fire. And by fire, I really mean in our modern context, like in wilderness survival, it's literally fire. But in modern context, fire is like energy. It's light. It's the ability to cook, right? So I include all of those under the fire skill set. What am I up to? Number 6. So number 6 is food. Number 7 is yours, Eric, communications. Number 8 is like kind of like health and hygiene and first aid and medical stuff. Number 9 is personal safety and protection. Number 10 is actually emergency kits and gear. Number 11 is the ability to travel. And then number 12 is actually the community component, you know, because the lone wolf is only going to get so far, right? You're going to get a lot further with some people. So I've got these basic kind of like 12 areas that I've laid out. And then what we do in the course with the survival resilience matrix is we literally now take our 4 categories, and this might be starting to sound complex to people, but I think once you have it mapped it out, it actually makes it easier because it literally gives you a map. So I don't know if you guys want me to go into the first one. I want to give you the example of my categories for situational awareness, or if you want to comment on this first.
Yeah. So what I'm more interested in, so you have 12 subcategories and 4 main categories. So how about you break down those 12 subcategories into how you would put them as north, east, west?
Yeah. That's what I want to do.
And then let's get into what we want.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the situational awareness one for the first one, because I think this is kind of a fun one to look at. Okay.
So that falls under north?
South, no. So we're north, east, south, and west are going to go overlay on each one of these 12, right? Because I want.
But you're going to have some points that are more north than south, correct?
No, I got points in all 4 for each of these 12.
Okay, that's where
you have to fulfill. You have to fulfill all of these in each quadrant.
Yeah. Okay, so let me break it. It's actually perfect that you're telling me that it lost you, because that makes me think I need to explain this a little better or different, right?
No, so it's not that you need to explain it better. It's just how I assess a situation of, like, I'm going to give you these 4 points. Yeah. Right. These are the 4 pillars. Let's just say, right. Yeah. And then these 12 are the sub support for the 12 or for the 4 points. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm going to overlay the 4 pillars on each one of those points. So here, let me give you, can I give you, I think once I give you the example, it'll help.
I get what you're saying, and I'm not saying
sweet, you got it there now.
I'm just, I understand it, but I just feel like there's certain points that would relate more to one compared to all 4.
Yeah, I do agree with that. In some of them, there will be more in one than the other. Absolutely.
Right. So you've got your 4 points, your 12, 3, 6, 9, right? So fine. You're going to have points that hit all 4, but let's just say, your third point, I don't remember what it is. Doesn't matter. I'm going to use it as, that's going to be your 2 o'clock. It's going to relate to all of them, but it's more important between your north and east quadrant.
Yeah, some of them will be like that. Let me do it for situational awareness, and then I think that might help you understand the way that I'm looking at this model, right?
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So situational awareness, I'm actually going to start over on the west, because that's kind of like the naturalist, like bushcraft side of it. And then so I'm going to go actually west, north, east, south. And we can actually, I like your idea, Pierre. I think I should think more about where I place them, which I haven't a lot. But because of this is the way I have it designed right now, I'm just going to go in that order. So.
And I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying,
no, cool.
From my point of view, I was just like, this is where you're gonna potentially confuse simple-minded people like
We'll see if this helps make it clear. Right? So our Western shield or our Western direction, this is the kind of the more the natural nature awareness, like land-based traditional skills part, right? So under situational awareness, that's things like literally being able to look at the clouds and read the weather to know what's happening, right? That's being able to be a tracker, right? Like I'm a tracker is one of my biggest passions. So like looking at footprints and knowing like, hey, there's a male and a female, and this guy's carrying a backpack and he stopped and whatever, like, right? So
and
it's
in
like reading the
2025,
signs.
that's a lot harder than you think.
Oh,
if
it
it's
is.
male or female, right? Like,
Yeah. There's a lot to tracking. You know, we could spend a lot of time. Like it's one of the main things I teach actually. But anyway, so like, you know, so the west side is like, you know, being able to track, being able to read the signs in nature, being able to read the weather, you know, listening to the birds for like the birds actually telling you where the cougar is, or even that there's like someone walking down the trail. I can't hear the person, but I notice that the robin starts alarming at the person. Yeah. And now it gives me an early indicator.
All these birds, as they get closer and closer, are flying away.
Yeah.
Probably an indication.
The birds are part of my security system in my advanced awareness, right? So that's 100%. That like Western natural side of awareness. Super valuable, right? When I go up to, actually, I'll go across to the east now, just because then there's the tactical side of that, right? Yep. And the tactical side is more when we get into things like, you know, things like the Left of Bang. Like, have you guys read that book?
I haven't read it, but I know
you're familiar with the concept, you know, or things like, you know, the Cooper's color code for awareness, you know. Are you guys familiar with that one? Cooper's color code, things like the OODA loop. So they're basically like these more like tactical situational awareness. So you think like Jason Bourne kind of stuff, right? So there's the natural awareness, and then there's like the tactical awareness, which is like, you know, Cooper's color code, Left of Bang, OODA loop, all that kind of stuff. You know, books like The Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker, or like On Combat, you know, is a great book on situational, like modern military situational awareness. So to have like the tactical and the natural gives you a really rounded skill set. Then if we go to the north-south axis, like the homestead or home awareness is more like, oh, like, am I remembering to like check the fire alarms? You know, am I remembering to cycle my gas? Like, you know, it's like all those little tasks that you need to have awareness of on the homestead. And I need to hold, like, as a gardener, I need to make sure that my garden's staying wet during a drought, you know? So I have to have this awareness around my homestead and all those tasks. And then the southern side of it is the emergency management side of situational awareness. And this is things like, what would be some good examples? You know, things like cybersecurity maybe come in there, you know? Things like being able to do like a hazard identification or threat analysis risk set, you know, kind of fall into there.
First aid supplies, someone shows up and has like this weird condition, like, or weird injury where you're just like, well, you know, do you let them in your house and just put them on the couch with your family around? Or it's just
so that kind of falls into that emergency planning quadrant, right? So like I would argue that like having
situational awareness.
So I'd imagine like, you know, there's actually, you could put situational awareness into all four of those quadrants. It kind of changes what you're focused on a little bit. And to have a little bit in all of that, and then within your community, have experts in each of them. So hopefully does that start to help you understand kind of like how this model is meant to work?
Yeah. And like you said, when you said everything, I was like, I understand. Like this applies to all four quadrants. No ands, if or buts. I was just curious if it was like, if you had, even if it's only one, let's just say, so you've got four quadrants, right? 12 examples. So let's take 4 out of 12. That leaves you what, 8? Yeah. Yeah, 8. Okay. So you've got 4 that are majority in each quadrant, and then the other 8 intertwine with all of them. Just because that's just how I associate everything, right? You build this quadrant, right? You've got north, south, east, west. So one is going to be way more north, east, and south than west. North, south.
Some of them do fall more into one area.
Yeah. So just having those defining points of like, hey, this one applies to all, or this one applies way more on this side. Fine, we can apply it to something else. But they were way more important on personal security, your first aid, right? First aid, yes, technically applies to all of them, but don't necessarily apply to what was the fourth quarter west?
Well, the natural one. So for first aid, for the natural one, right? A great example would be like your Western quadrant is more like, I know how to go into the woods and harvest herbs for stuff. Whereas like my Eastern quadrant, the tactical is like, I know, like I have an IFAC kit and I know how to do like tactical trauma response, right?
Right.
So they actually, at a first aid actually falls, you have both those quadrants covered.
right? They do. But if you live downtown Toronto,
Yeah.
are you gonna go look for those herbs?
Well, okay, that's a great question. No,
Right.
no,
so,
but
and I'm not saying either one are bad. I 100% agree with you. I'm just saying it won't apply to the West depending where the person lives.
no, I disagree. I want to challenge that one.
Okay, I'm all down because I
Yeah.
could be 100% wrong and I'm okay with it.
Cool. Yeah. So I love this questioning process, and this is what I want you to do because I'm working on this model. So try and poke holes.
Buddy, I will go get another drink and we can go for hours.
No, I mean this is how you grow a model and find the holes is by challenging it, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So why I think so again, you got to remember that the whole idea of this is like to make us adaptable for any situation, right?
Yes.
So the person in Toronto, I agree 100% that like their first aid kit and their tactical stuff is more important for them for most scenarios. But if they want to be a well-rounded person that's adaptable to any situation, is like maybe they're away on vacation and they're actually in a wilderness area up at a cottage, they're up camping, and the scenario shit goes down. And now they have that natural component to adapt to it, you know? Or it's like you're in the city and it's like you actually run out, you know, this is a long-term extended emergency and you actually run out of your first aid supplies. Now I need to go into the local park to find some of those herbs. So yes, I agree that in a city, I would put a bigger emphasis on the tactical skill set, but that other one actually still makes you a more well-rounded person to the array of stuff. And the whole idea around this is actually being well-rounded. Now, where this up here, I just came up with this idea based on what you shared before, though. I've kind of got them in these directions based on a different way I was thinking about them. But if you were to put them into more of a pathway or a journey, and like on in what order, then I would actually say, well, you know, if you're in a city, you want to focus on the tactical side first. And then once you feel like you've got a good foundation, then you're going to move on to the natural. If you live in the country, you might actually want to focus on the natural first. And then
100%.
as you get them there, then move over. So I still think everybody should have both of them, but which one you focus on first absolutely is relevant to your environment. And it would be neat to create the model in a way where people could actually understand which the best order to move through them is. And I haven't given as much thought to that.
Yeah, right. Because like you said, hey, I have an idea and you're going to relate to it as you live, which I would do the same. Anybody would do the same, right? You live a homestead, you live probably a little more secluded than some of us and that. So you were like, hey, this is important, which it is. No ands, ifs, or buts. I'm not denying the fact of learning all of the things. But I just find if you can find that criteria for like, if you already live secluded, you probably know most of this and you want to fine tune it. You want to get more information. You want to get more training, blah, blah, blah. But the guy that lives downtown Toronto and never goes camping and is never going to be in a scenario where the zombie apocalypse happens while he's in a weekend at Bon Echo Park, doesn't care what fucking mushrooms to eat because he's got a headache. That guy's going to go find Tylenol.
Yeah. I would argue there's places where there is no Tylenol as an option, though.
I agree, but downtown Toronto is probably not where we want to negotiate where there is none. Right? In most cases, right? We're talking long-term, right? Societal collapse after 3 months. Yeah, you're probably not going to find Tylenol. Power outage for 4 or 5 days.
Oh, absolutely.
Have an extra bottle of Tylenol in your house is probably good. You should know if you can't, go find this willow bark and, you know, put it in hot water for this amount of time, let it steep for this amount of time will help. But at the end of the day, they're probably better off just buying an extra bottle of Tylenol and keeping it. Now, have the knowledge and the comprehension of how to do both, but concentration should be affiliated with your most likely outcome for what.
Yeah, well, so let's go back to like the whole premises then, because that's actually a great point there, and that I think we're actually on the same page with this, Pierre, because like my hypothesis is that everyone should actually have the basic knowledge and the foundational and stuff in each. So everyone should have Tylenol. Everyone should know how easy it is to scrape willow bark to make it. Like there's no reason everyone can't know that. And then the city people are going to specialize more in the advanced modern first aid. the country people maybe more in the herbalism. So that actually is the model. It's like everyone should have the basics of each, but you're not going to be a specialist in all of them. You become the specialist based on where you live or your needs. But I would argue that your community is going to be more resilient if you have a specialist in each one of them within your prepper group or within your family or your community, right?
Yeah, 100%. But now we're also getting into, well, I'm taking this course to get information, and now I got to find 15 people that agree with me, are willing to take knowledge and willing to take on some of those tasks.
Sure.
Well, if anything, it challenges you to find those people if you don't already have them, right? And it opens up your mind to the fact that
a bunch of other fucking people compared to what I have talked to.
But it also opens up your mind to the fact a lot of people in the preparedness world try to feel like they're specialized in all kinds of different areas, and realistically, that's just not possible, right? You're never going to specialize in everything.
No, right.
So kind of opening your mind up to the fact that I can pick one, maybe two areas to feel really confident in, but then I need to have other people to specialize in those other areas and start looking at the community for that assistance. Because like we've said before on the show, like the lone wolf thing sounds sexy and sounds awesome and sounds great. It's not going to last long. Right, it'll get you through a little bit, but not forever.
And I can say pretty confidently, like, so in this roadmap to resilience, this is the second time that I've run this course now. And I feel pretty confident claiming that coming out of this roadmap to resilience course, like people will actually have that basic information in each of them. And then they'll be like coming out of it, they'll be like, okay, I help people basically now break it into, okay, I want my short-term plan, my middle term, and my long term. And I'm going to now apply that to the realities of my situation. So it's like, if I live in the city, I'm going to be focused a little bit different than the person that lives in the country or homestead, whatever. Right. But I really, over a 4-month period, my goal is actually to get people where they actually do have the basics in all of those, and they understand a pathway to go deeper in all 4 of those quadrants. And then they pick which quadrant they want to go deeper in next. And what's cool is, like, if you think about this as a long-term journey, like I remember I kind of got into prepping like 20 years ago, and 20 years ago, like I thought shit was going to hit the fan any day. And here's 20 years later, things are still going. And
Bro,
I remember
the Y2K.
Yeah, totally. Right.
Like we all remember Y2K.
Yeah.
What a fucking hoax that was, right? And then anybody younger, way younger than us or whatever, the Mayan calendar.
Sure. Yeah.
The world was going to end in 2012. Yeah. The Mayan calendar ended. It was the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Right?
So over time, people have time
to
actually, if things do keep going, you can actually develop like a pretty high, and I would say that I actually do have probably a higher than normal competency in all 4 of them, but that's 20 years of work to get there. And it's actually been a ton of fun doing it. Like, what else am I going to do with my time? I might as well like learn cool skills, like trying to be a badass human is like, that's a pretty reward in life. And it makes you valuable for your family and your community. And then we also want to acknowledge our holes and our blind spots. And this helps us acknowledge those and figure out how do I fill them in too, right? So that's the whole premise behind the Survival Resilience Matrix and this roadmap to resilience course that I'm running. So maybe we can leave it there. Unless you got anything else you want to jam on with that.
No, I like the layout. I like the setup and kind of how you start out with your 4 quadrants, and then you build each of them out progressively and just help people identify where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, where you can kind of help build that up. Because I think you're 100% right. Everybody needs to have a basic level of knowledge of all those areas, and then choose the one that they're comfortable with and specialize there. And then reaching out and having other people in your circle. It has to be a thing. Like you're not going to get by just lone wolfing it. So having those other specialists working with you, I think you're bang on. I like this.
Cool. Sweet. If you come up with any other ideas, or if anyone in the crowd has thoughts, as I said, I do want to keep improving it. I'm going to play with some of Pierre's idea around like it more as like a roadmap or steps. Yeah. But if people have ideas, reach out to me too. My email or my website, chris@chrisoutdoors.ca, or reach out to me by email. If anyone is actually even interested in the course, we have started already, but we're only a couple of weeks in. So if you wanted to come and join us, it's not too late to join. So you can check that out on my website there. It's the Roadmap to Resilience course there. I did actually make a coupon for folks tonight too. I think I wrote it down, but it is.
Hopefully you did, because if you gave the wrong one, people are going to be pissed next week.
Yeah. So CP, so for a Canadian prepper, CP100 will actually give you $100 off if you want to join us on this round of it. So CP100, chrisoutdoors.ca, and under the courses, look for Roadmap to Resilience. So one other thing I'll just say that's kind of cool about this course too is just by the nature. So we've got 60 students enrolled in it, and most of them have already done like a bunch of work in at least one of those quadrants. So when we get together and have the live calls, people actually share a whole bunch, right? And like, so like we're actually pulling in experts, and like I'm learning. Like the other day we were on, and there was this guy that was he was an engineer, and he's a total nerd for backup energy systems, right? And like he's into like rocket mass heaters and like how to rig up like the best way to rig up generators.
That guy can come over to my house for a week, all right?
Yeah,
I'm just
but
saying.
it was amazing because just in our community, like I'm facilitating the course, but I'm actually learning because I'm kind of this generalist and here's a specialist. And then people would ask me a question, and then this guy's jumping in and sharing his stuff. So we're actually we've got 60 people that are all now jamming on those 4 quadrants and those 12 categories, and we're all growing because of it, right?
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Well, I can hear Scott asking, does that engineer know anything about gasifiers?
I don't know. He's not here tonight. So,
and how many carbon monoxide monitors you need for
each? Yes, this is true. Yeah.
Yes.
I had to get the jokes out because it's been a while since we've done a podcast episode. So
yeah, it has. Like I said, the only thing I would recommend, swap north and south.
Cool.
Just because
the quiz is a cool idea too, actually. I mean, we kind of do that with the students, but I wouldn't mind actually having a quiz that they take when they join that actually kind of shows your strengths and blind spots.
Yeah, and then redo it near the end and
then redo it when they've learned something, and everybody needs to be honest and they need to put hard work in and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And, hopefully people doing stuff like this are probably very truthful and all that stuff. But yeah, if you could actually find like, if you need to do like a case study, right? Like get 50 people to take the course and answer truthfully. And then 4 months later, answer truthfully with the same amount of people. It would be nice to see like where.
And it'd be cool at the end of the course, because then you can kind of celebrate how far you've come, right?
Yeah. Or just like, hey, I wanted to learn all of it, but I learned a lot more in these 2 sections, 3 sections.
Yep.
Where I'm like, okay, this is where I'm failing. So it's like, I should make more connections to help support
this section.
Someone there that can't do the tactical, can't do the hunting, can't do this, can't do that.
Cool.
Right? You can take care of the part that I can't help, but I will help you if you can help me, right? And building that, all of the things like, and if people are open to like, hey, this is where I live, this is what I learned. And I'm like, you'd be surprised how many people can make connections, even though you're 5-6 hours away. Information can be told when all is good. And right, like we're doing a fucking StreamYard call right now. None of us live within 5 minutes of each other, So
what's neat in the course though is some of the people in the course actually do live near each other, and now they're actually getting together and chatting and building local groups. Cool. So we're actually building community through the course too, right?
That's cool, right? But I mean, like I have people that I talk to that are 2 time zones away. For stuff, right? Because of the podcast. So it's like, even though they can't be there, if my power goes out and they have gas and I don't, they can't help me with it.
Yeah.
But the knowledge prior to all that, when everything's good, right? All that is worth its weight in gold. When times are good. When times are good. When times aren't good, they may like fuck off.
See if they're still around.
Might be a thing, But
one other thought for you, Chris, if you're going to do that, test or knowledge checking or whatever, maybe even have them come back a year later. After and just say, okay, now you've done the course, we've laid the groundwork out for you. Just like a reminder email in a year and go, hey, take this quiz again, see where you're at now.
I love it,
because some of them will trail off, right? And some of them will get back into their comfort zone just because that's human nature. They'll fall right back into, well, this is where I'm comfortable. A little quick poke and just so, hey, it's been a year since you've done this. Take the quiz again. Where do you sit now? Right? Have you built up on those experiences? And
that's awesome.
And it might even just kickstart them to continue doing it again, right?
Well, yeah. If you've kind of fallen off the horse for a while and that's your motivation, that's actually really neat. I like that idea too, Garrick.
Yeah, and here's an application to come back to the course, right? I mean, could be right because
wasn't going to say, but it could be also some more sales,
but
right?
But people get lazy, people get compliant. Wow, so, I learned it 3 years ago. I'll be good, 6 years from now. and then nothing happens. Yeah, it's cool. I'd be all up for it. I'm way too busy with work. So is this going to be a constant thing? Like
I think it's probably going to be like an
4 or
annual
5
thing that we run, or a couple
Yeah,
times a year.
annual.
I haven't decided yet. So because we're running in cohorts, there is a bunch of pre-recorded stuff people can watch, but I also like this live component because that's where we can actually go to. The live component is where we actually can go down the rabbit hole where somebody's like, well, how does this apply to my unique situation? And then I can help them work on that in real time. And how do I adapt this model to like,
or how
I'm living
someone
in an
can-
apartment, in a rental apartment in New York City, right? And now we can work on how do you apply this to that or whatever it is, you know?
Okay, so at least let's say at least for now, once a year.
Yeah, what the plan is at least once a year, once or twice a year, probably once a year, maybe twice is the plan for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, Dave,
It looks like we got a question, eh?
Yeah, Dave in the live chat's got a comment here. He says he's a pastor, so obviously concerned about spiritual preparedness. Do you have any faith-based elements like emotional support, etc., built into the training?
Yeah, so it's absolutely. So I mean, I will say this. So the way that I teach, I have my personal faith and my personal beliefs. I actually leave that out of my programs because I want to create a space where people can come in from any spiritual background, and I create a space that's respectful of people of any. Whether you're an atheist, a Christian, a Muslim, whatever, as long as you're a good-hearted person that's respectful, you're allowed to come and learn. But I actually think, that kind of falls under the mental side of it, right? And one of those pillars was the mental side and frameworks. And that's where I think spirituality comes in, I maybe this is even kind of, if we're getting close to close to the end, that I'll throw in a little story here that I think is really potent.
Absolutely.
So something that one of my mentors said to me. Oh, did you want to jump in first, Pierre?
Yeah. Before we go there, I do want clarification on shit. Fucking window went too small. Hold on. Let me see.
There you
go.
Yeah. So faith-based elements, for spiritual preparedness. I would like more details to be able to reply back to that question.
Right. For what that means.
I feel that's too vague for me to say anything. And that might just me having a few drinks and a cigar while we're chit-chatting. But that's just me. But like,
we'll leave it vague for this evening, and I'm sure Dave will follow up. Future,
follow up because
future episode, or he'll send us an email because he's a pretty consistent listener.
Yes.
So we'll leave it vague for this evening, though.
Sweet. Well, so my story is going to come back to Dave, though. So Dave, great question. So the short answer is yes. There is. We speak to the spiritual side of it. This story will speak to a little bit, but I just know that I don't center it in any faith. I have my faith, but I intentionally leave that out. But we do recognize the importance of faith, So this story is kind of a cool one to close it off here. One of my mentors said to me that purpose beyond self is one of the greatest forces in the world. And I absolutely believe this. And a number of years ago, I'm out on my trap line, and I'm out there with my best friend's 6-year-old son wanted to come out on the trap line with me. And so we paddle way back into the woods in a canoe, right? And we're out there checking my beaver traps. And these are these big stainless steel 330 Connie Bear traps. And Chris does something else stupid in the woods again. So literally I did something I shouldn't. I took a shortcut and the trap goes off and it slams my hand in it. Ooh. This is meant to break a beaver's neck, and it slams my hand. My eyes go black. Like I've dropped to my knees and I'm about to pass out. I literally can't see anything. I'm on my hands and knees. I'm about to hit the ground. All of a sudden it pops into my head that there's this kid with me, and I'm on the ground and I can't see anything. I can feel myself blacking out. And I'm like, you can't pass out. There's a kid with you. You can't pass out. And I'm literally saying that. And slowly my eyes start to open back up. And then I look up and here's this kid just looking totally stunned. I look down, my hand is swollen up like a football. Yep. It's stuck in this trap. I don't know if this is fully speaking to what you mean, Dave, but like I put that almost in the spiritual realm, like literally my physical body was about to crash. My faith and my belief in purpose beyond self, meaning like I have a duty to protect this kid, literally stopped me from passing out in that moment. I sincerely believe if that kid wasn't with me, I would have actually passed out. That kid actually saved me that day, right? And my duty to that kid saved me that day. That's maybe a little different what people would say to spirituality, but I do believe that spirituality often gives us the values and the morals that we need to make good choices in hard times. And that's where I absolutely support, people bringing in whatever paradigm, mythology, faith that supports them being the best person in the world, absolutely to me relates to preparedness. I just like to make it an open community where people can explore that journey in whatever way makes sense to them, you know? And I'm going to do the way that makes sense to me, and we can all respect each other in it. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit there, Dave.
I like it. Well, that's awesome. It's a great way to end things off as well. I think it's a fantastic course idea, and I think it's going to do quite well. So hopefully some of the listeners can take advantage of it as well.
Yeah, we got as I said, we got 60 people in there right now, so it's already been a fascinating community.
That's a fantastic number just to start off. So that's good, and hopefully we can bump the numbers up a little bit for you and get a few listeners in and taking the course as well.
So also, before we forget, that and Scott did comment yes on YouTube. So
yes, I see Scott there, getting all excited about the gasifier question. Yeah.
He came out of a deep sleep after his his tea. And
just to type that. Yeah, just to comment yes. Yeah.
He's back in bed, but that's beside the point.
Can I throw one more little tidbit? I just noticed the second part of Dave's comment there. So he actually said specifically, so I'm concerned about spiritual preparedness and faith-based elements. And then in that he puts emotional support, right?
Yeah.
So that's actually an often underlooked area of preparedness as well. Because we often expect that we're going to perform the same under stress that we do on our day-to-day. But the reality is, and like, you know, you look at a book like On Combat, you know, which is from like studying people's response in high stress combat scenarios. And that shows that, you know, as soon as our blood rate starts to go up, our heart pumps faster, it changes our senses, it changes what we take in, it changes the way our brain works. So if you have somebody that's actually in a trauma state, they're not going to respond normally. And so even though I might just want to like bark an order at them or do something, if it doesn't actually make them respond the way we need to for our safety, it's not actually helpful. So we actually do get in, again, in the mental quadrant of it. It's actually, we call it trauma-informed response. And it's not about like being soft or woo-woo. It's actually about being super practical with like, hey, we have an objective that needs to happen. And we need to know how to actually talk to and work with people that are having a trauma response so that they actually do what needs to be done in this moment. Right. Yep. So that the emotional side of it is actually real. Like human emotions get in, or the flip side of that is like, I can get all triggered and angry and hot-headed and go and do something stupid that puts my whole family in jeopardy now. Right. So being able to control our emotions in those stressful situations, especially if it's life or death, is actually really, really important. So we absolutely dive into some of those realms.
I'll bring that one up for
him. Okay. Hold on. Before we go into that one. So I 100% agree with you on everything you were saying, emotional trauma or whatever. I can't remember the book. And I'm going to say Jordan Peterson mentioned it many times about the Polish, I want to say Polish. I could be wrong. Someone can figure it out. Polices that were taken over by the Nazis. And all of a sudden they're doing death camps and killing women and children or whatever. And it's the whole psychological breakdown of how they were slowly put into scenarios that they weren't really for, but you can leave if you want. Nobody wanted to leave because they didn't want to feel ashamed or whatever. And eventually they got to the point of doing very, very bad things.
Right. The emotional breakdown.
Yeah. The emotional breakdown. So you have to look at both sides of it, where it's how do you prepare to not get into those scenarios, as well as how do you just not be there to start with. But
it's
those
huge.
little steps where you can turn into a monster, right? Looking back at it 3 years later after the whole society collapsed and all of a sudden you're wearing other people's faces and driving skull wheels, right? But you slowly got there. So how do you keep your true center on what you believe in and your morals, whether it's faith-based, whether it's just your personal things, whether you believe in faith or not, right? So I think there's also that whole side. And
that falls under the emotional mental too, 100%.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then Dave's last comment, like all I'll say to that, Dave, is like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm fully on board. Dave wrote, spiritual preparedness equals having faith to sustain you in tough times and being prepared for eternity. Faith-based elements, having a faith support system, And for some people that's going to look like someone to pray to, and others of like faith to rely on in stressful situations. Like, absolutely, I would argue that that's super supportive.
Yeah, whether that's, I don't know, Johnny Depp dressed up as, the Pirates of the Caribbean, like, well, whatever. Who am I to judge, right? Like, if that's your rock, he's drunk, he's drinking rum, but like, you do you, boo, right? Like, who am I to say that you're wrong?
Well, this has been fantastic, Chris, and I think it's really, really good idea, and hopefully it takes off, and you can get a whole bunch of people through and kind of open up their minds to just this whole kind of way of looking at the preparedness world. Because I think, like I've said a few times, I think you're bang on with the way you're looking at stuff.
Yeah, and I think the more people that we get thinking this way, the better we all are, right? So,
and fingers crossed
100%.
we won't have a libtard government next time because they're not retarded.
We'll see what happens.
There's the government. Critic. Had to throw that in there.
It's part of his character on the podcast. Yep.
Yes.
So with that, maybe we'll move into upcoming events here. We've got the annual Preppers Meet 2020, 2026, I guess, coming up in July. So
is that the 2026, or did we use a crazy old show notes?
We used old show notes, and I didn't check them before we started. So it is happening. Annual Preppers Meet 2026 is a thing. The dates to be announced, but again, back at the Sylvanian Hunters and Anglers Club in Alliston, Ontario. Fantastic event to get out to come out and meet a whole bunch of like-minded folks. And so pay attention to their Facebook page, and I'm sure dates will come up fairly soon. But with that, I'll bring episode number 271 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or really your favorite podcast app. Pretty sure they're all going to still publish us, even though we took a little bit of a hiatus there. Please do submit a review. It does encourage the algorithms to promote us for about 30 seconds until they realize that we're talking about preparedness. Then we get thrown back down to the bottom of the pile. But at least we're there for a little bit. It does actually help other people find us. Where can everybody find you there, Pierre?
You can find me here whenever we do post shows, since it's been a little bit. Off the wall customizing. I think we still have a tickety talk and other things. I don't know. My wife does all the socialist media's things. We can make t-shirts, even if I don't agree with the statement you want on it, I will do it. Or you can find me Monday nights on the other CPP, talking about critiquing government and reasons you should probably be better prepared and listen on Sunday nights.
Awesome. Where can everybody find you, Chris?
Yeah, so chrisoutdoors.ca is my website. I've got if you just go to the courses there. I also have a newsletter that I write usually once or twice a month. And I do tons of free stuff, like free webinars, going into all kinds of stuff. Like I really, like I said, like wildlife tracking, reading signs in nature, preparedness, all that kind of stuff. So get on the newsletter if you want. You can just go to chrisoutdoors.ca to sign up, get all kinds of free stuff. And if you're interested, remember, you can come join me at the Roadmap to Resilience course and put in CP100 for $100 off that. I also have a course on there on how to grow edible and medicinal mushrooms. And do you remember the name or the number of the episode, Eric, that we did on mushrooms?
Ooh, you're going to ask me all the fun questions.
Anyways, just go back. It's only a couple weeks back.
Yeah, it's a couple weeks back. Yeah,
but we did a whole episode on why growing mushrooms actually can be a really substantial source of food in your preparedness journey, and might be easier and more accessible even in an urban area. So check out that episode if you want to learn about mushrooms, and you can check out the course on my website about that.
I'm gonna laugh really hard if it's episode 269.
Like the one before this one.
It might be 268. It's been it's pretty close to this one. So yeah, definitely check that one out as well. You can check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com and get me there on the live chat. You can also email feedback at prepperpodcast.ca. So thanks for joining us. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
and keep learning.
As we wrap up another insightful episode of the Canadian Prepper Podcast, we want to extend our gratitude to our listeners for joining us on this journey of preparedness. Remember, the key to survival is knowledge and readiness. If you want to support the show and engage with our community further, consider signing up for our Patreon and joining our thriving community on Discord. Links are in the description. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. This is the Canadian Prepper Podcast, signing off. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe, and keep learning.